That should be your goal. So if you have to start out with this stick to back squat, that's just fine. But ultimately, in 12 months, your target is to squat one time your body weight, twice your body weight. All right, so I'm going to turn sideways to the camera here so I can talk a little bit about back position. When we squat, we want to make sure that our chest is spread and forward and that our back stays flat. Okay? A flat back is really critical to the safety and proper execution. The width on your stance is going to vary. You'll see power lifters with a really wide squat. I'm not a big fan of squatting in this wide a position. You don't do anything in life with this wide a stance except power squat. Very few sports do you have your feet this spread. I prefer a more normal stance, which is about shoulder width. If you jump up in the air, you'll land on the ground and your feet will toe out or in or stay straight, based upon your own biomechanics. So I like people just to kind of jump up, look down, and see how their feet are spaced. That's a good way to start. We want to keep the weight in our heels, our chest up, and we're going to then lower and sit into a chair. It's really important that you learn what that feels like to lower and sit in a chair. This is what it looks like from the side. You can see my back is straight, my knees are bent at least at 90 degrees. I'm sitting down pretty low right now, but my eyes are up, my chest is spread, and my back is flat. And then from here, I'm going to drive out of the heels, out of the feet, pushing my feet through the floor. That's my cue. And return to the standing position. So I'm going to back squat this bar right now. And it's light for demonstration purposes. I've got my feet shoulder width apart. And my eyes are going to stay forward. When I grab the bar, I'm going to grab just outside of my shoulders. Now, if you're using squat racks, I've seen guys with their arms out here. I've seen guys with their arms in here. When you return to the squat rack, you may lose a fingernail if your hands are too wide. So I start out teaching everyone to reach just outside. This locks in the shoulder girdle, keeps your chest high. If your hands are in here, you're more likely to come forward. This forces your shoulders back, keeping that chest high so that back stays flat. And where the bar is riding right now on my back, that will become an issue for many of you. You don't want to have the bar too low. This is a low back squat. I'm talking about a high back squat. I like the bar up in a natural groove, and you'll find it. If it's up too high, you'll be on one of your cervical vertebrae, and you'll know it real quick. So find that natural groove. It'll take you a little bit of practice, and you'll get there. Okay, from here then, we're going to just lower down, keeping that chest up, sit down in that chair. You can see that I'm very comfortable sitting right here. Some people are not very comfortable in this position, and then we're going to return to the start. And when I'm doing these repetitions, I'm taking a breath in. I'll hold it slight as I exhale on the return. Do not hold your breath the entire time. Inhale, exhale. Big breath in, down, exhale. That is a squat right there. There's some other resources you can study it more in depth, but that is the essence or the basic elements of back squatting. And that is a very, very powerful exercise. We're going to do 3 sets of 10 repetitions. After we do 10 repetitions, which I just performed repetitions for you a moment ago, we're going to rest for 90 seconds. So you go back to the squat rack and you put it in there, and you get on your wristwatch or you look at the clock in the gym that you're working in, you gotta have a watch with a second hand on it. All right. Back squats, very potent. Okay, the next thing we're gonna move to is the upper body squat, which is the bench press. But I'm gonna stop myself right now because I want you to alternate that back squat with another exercise. And that's the deadlift. And the deadlift is a variation off the back squat. For our training purposes, we're going to alternate back squat with deadlift. Okay? Back squat one day on Monday, deadlift on Wednesday, and then back squat again. When we get to the next week, deadlift on Monday, back squat on Wednesday, deadlift on Friday. Okay. The deadlift has a lot of this similar characteristics to the back squat in that we want to have a flat back, a flared chest, and sit down in a chair before we start to pull. Okay? So I'm going to come to this bar right here, and for this demonstration, I don't need to lift the bar because I'm going to lift the bar off the ground. And I'm going to teach you a power clean deadlift style. There's variations on the deadlift. You'll see a big sumo style deadlift with a crossed grip and all these different variations, and those guys are extremely strong, don't get me wrong. But for our purposes, again, I want to have the shoulder width slightly toed out for me. You don't want to have your feet right next to each other. And you want to crowd the bar with your shins. Crowd the bar with your shins, and then weight in the heels, squat down and reach just outside of your legs. Okay? Reach just outside of your legs. Check your grip. Make sure that it's evenly spaced. You've got the knurling, and then you have a smooth part. And I like to have one thumb spacing from the smooth. And keeping my head up and my chest up, I'm going to press my feet through the floor and stand up. Notice how my chest stayed up and my back stayed flat. Push your feet through the floor and stand up. Eyes are up, looking slightly up at all times. We do not want to start by extending our leg and letting our back go. We want to press, extending the knees and lowering. Now, I used to climb mountains, and most mountaineering accidents occur on the descent after the summit has been reached. I've seen weight room accidents on exercises where the athlete had finished their last repetition. Whew, boy, that feels good. Forgot what they were doing, leaned forward, lost their position, lost their posture, and strained their back. Do not relax until the weight is on the ground and you're counting your rest interval. Again, breathing would be inhale, exhale. Down and inhale. Exhale as you press the weight away from the floor. If you're not sure you're breathing, it's a good idea initially to count your repetitions as a way of maintaining a breathing pattern. So, alternating those back squats with deadlifts. Okay, every other day, just rotating A and B, A, B, A, B, and alternate that way. I need to get my bench press in here so we can start the upper body squat, which is the bench press. Now, usually I don't have any trouble motivating athletes to bench press, but I want to talk about a few of the finer points. I'm not using a bench with standards today. Most of the bench presses that you'll use will have bench press standards on them that the bar will actually rest in, where you can load the bar inside of the rack. You want to make sure that the bench is stable and it is properly anchored to the steel. Usually they're made out of some high gauge steel and welded most of the time. If you're not sure, you go into a gym you're not familiar with, check out the equipment. Make sure it's stable. Check out their bars. Make sure they're stable.